Tonight, with Syria convulsed in revolutionary chaos, its neighbor Israel taking decisive action. Israeli warplanes carrying out strikes across the country, leaving this airbase near Damascus in flames, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. The target, Israel says, military sites, including the Assad regime's stockpiles of chemical and biological weapons, which it fears could fall into the hands of extremists.
The only interest we have is the security of Israel and its citizens.
Bashar al-Assad, Syria's toppled dictator, used chemical weapons against his own people during 13 bloody years of civil war. President Obama threatened strikes in response.
A red line for us is we start seeing a whole bunch of chemical weapons moving around or being utilized.
But didn't follow through. While President Trump mounted 2 waves of attacks during his first term. Israeli forces are also moving in on the ground, first capturing a buffer zone between Syria and the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights, and then edging troops further into Syria itself.
There was never any love lost between Israel and the Assad regime, but for 50 years, this was Israel's quietest border, and the Israeli government is determined to try to keep it that way.
Syrians fear Israel is taking advantage of their weakness to capture territory. Israel annexed the Golan after its military victory against its Arab neighbors in the 1967 war. But Israel today insisting its aim only to prevent chaos in Syria spilling over.
I emphasize it is a very limited and temporary step we took from security reasons.
The state of Israel and rebel-led Syria now uneasy new neighbors.
And Raf Sanchez joins us now from Tel Aviv. Raf, do we have any sense of the rebels' attitude towards the state of Israel?
So, Ellison, the main rebel group, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, known as HTS, is a Sunni Islamist group. It has its origins in al-Qaeda. That is not an ideological profile that is friendly to Israel, to say the least. On top of that, you have the leader of that group, who is probably the single most powerful man in Syria right now. His family is originally from the Golan Heights. They were displaced by Israeli forces in 1967. That's why he goes by the pseudonym, the nom de guerre, al-Jolani, which literally means in Arabic, from the Golan. So he has personal animus, or reasons for personal animus towards Israel. All of that said, HTS has been very eager to telegraph moderation to the world. They have not been making threats towards Israel. They do seem more interested in domestic governance inside of Syria rather than international jihad outside of it. And there is this irony here that Israel and the rebels share enemies, Iran, Hezbollah, and part of the reason the rebels were successful in overthrowing Assad is that Israel had done so much damage to both Iran and Hezbollah over the last year or so. Allison.
And Raf, when you're speaking with your sources in the region, what do they and other experts think the fall of Assad could mean for the broader conflict in the Middle East?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So, big picture, it is clear this is a major blow to Iran. Syria was a key part of Iran's chain that linked them with Hezbollah on the Mediterranean. Their ability to project power throughout the region pretty severely limited now that Syria has been overtaken by the rebels. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel was actually at a press conference earlier today. He was making the argument that this leaves Hamas in Gaza more isolated because that is one more anti-Israel power in the Assad regime that has fallen away. And he is trying to make the case that this might make Hamas more open towards some kind of deal to release the hostages and to end the war. Ellison.
Raf Sanchez in Tel Aviv, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.